Now that we have our section main complete, we're going to start to style the section for atmosphere. So back to our CSS. Let's see if he returns. I'll add another CSS comment for section atmosphere. So the first rule we're going to create, we'll type section.atmosphere. Put in our brackets. We're going to set a background color here. We're going to set a background color. This is going to be the orange color. So we'll use hexadecimal, £, 2 C's for red, 2 6's for green, 2 3's for blue, semicolon, space. Next, we're going to set padding top. We're going to set this to 30 pixels. Next, we'll set padding bottom. We'll set this to 30 pixels as well, so that we have a consistent color fill above and below the content. And then finally, let's set color to £, and 3 F's for white. Let's go test this in a browser. Now we can see our orange color. We can also see the anchor tag with the class of BTN. And notice I can hover over this and I get an animation back to that 30% black background color, just like we have up in the header. Okay, so now let's bring in our background image. So back in the CSS, let's see if he returns. I'll come up here and select section.atmosphere, then a space. We're going to target the article element inside. If we go back to the HTML, we are targeting this item here, article inside of section with a class of atmosphere. Put in our brackets. We're going to start with padding. We're going to set 0 pixels on the top, 20 pixels on the right, 0 pixels on the bottom, and 515 pixels on the left. That's going to push the content inside of the article area 15 pixels away from the left-hand side. This will give us room to bring in that background graphic. So next property, we're going to set background. We'll use shorthand style here. We'll target URL, / images / photo_lounge.jpg. Outside of the parentheses, we're going to set no repeat, and we're going to set 0 on the X position and 5 pixels on the Y position. We want to push the picture down just a little bit so it lines up with the top of the heading. Now we're going to set one more property here as well. We don't know how much content we're going to put inside of the article area, and if we don't have enough content to make the height of the article area as tall as the background graphic is going to get cut off. So we want to set a minimum height so that the article area is always a certain height. So we'll come in here and type min-height, and we're going to set this to 220 pixels. So once you have those in place, back to the browser, hit reload, and we can now see that this image is being brought in inside of that article area. Our hover state still works, and the height of this item, even though the anchor tag ends right here, if we didn't have the minimum height, the entire object would end right here, the entire section with the class of atmosphere, and we would be missing the bottom part of this image. If we add additional content in here, it can get taller than 220. It can just never get shorter. So now with the atmosphere section styled, next we'll move on to the how-to section.